G'day guys, Ian from Cookie's Critters, and today we're talking about parasites and how to treat them in bearded dragons. Now guys, if you are new to this channel, please do us a favour, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications, and we'll get started in a minute. Okay guys, so a while ago we did a video on reptile quarantine. What you need to do when you're bringing a new reptile home into your collection. Now, this little guy and another little girl in our quarantine area, they were new to our collection about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Now, part of our quarantine process here at Cookie's Critters is all new reptiles are isolated, they have their own enclosures, they have their own feeding and cleaning apparatus. That means each enclosure has its own sand sieve, each snake has its own hook, its own tongs. These are just layers upon our quarantine process here at Cookie's Critters. Now, the most important thing that we always do with any new animal is we take it down to the local reptile veterinarian for a baseline health check. Now, that will cover things like parasites. Now, during the consultation, this little boy was kind enough to leave a stool sample for us. That way the veterinarian could do a fecal analysis. Now, simply guys, it does sound gross, but the veterinarian will put the feces on a glass slide, put it through a microscope and check what parasites are in the feces and if it's an acceptable level. Now guys, bearded dragons do have a normal gut health and a normal acceptable level of parasites in their intestines. Obviously when that parasite level gets too high, it starts creating complications, and parasites such as Coccidia are quite concerning. Now, this little boy in particular, his feces was analysed, and the level of pinworms was far too excessive for a healthy dragon, and the presence of Coccidia needed to be treated. Okay guys, so yes, the fecal screen was part of our quarantine process here at Cookie's Critters, but you guys want to know, how do I tell if my bearded dragon has parasites or things like Coccidia if they've been part of my collection for the last few months, if not the last few years? Now guys, simply we are looking for changes in behaviour. Now, a bearded dragon, while yes, they are quite docile reptiles, they should still have an appropriate level of energy. If your dragon is far too lethargic, way too lazy, then potentially you could have an issue with parasites. Now guys, things to understand. You need to make sure that your heating is appropriate. You need to have that basking spot nice and hot. 38 degrees Celsius up to 43, 45 degrees. Now guys, obviously if you're overseas and you're in Fahrenheit, I'll drop that down below because I can't do the math. But guys, 38 to 45 degrees for your hot basking spot, and then your cool spot, you want around that 28 to the low 30s. Now guys, if your temperatures are adequate, if they are accurate and spot on, then you're gonna have to look at things like, is my UVB appropriate? When was the last time I changed my globe? How often am I offering water to my bearded dragon? Now, if all these things are correct, there aren't any issues with your husbandry, but yet your dragon is still lethargic, maybe it might be time to go down to your local reptile vet and have a parasite test done. So guys, other things that we want to be mindful of is its appetite and its feeding. Now guys, if you have a bearded dragon and it's normally a big eater and all of a sudden its eating habits have changed, then potentially, once again, go back, check all your heating, your lighting. If all these things are right, maybe there might be an issue internally, and things like parasites can play a big role in digestion and gut health. Now, like I said in the introduction, this little boy did have Coccidia. Now, the most obvious sign for a dragon with Coccidia is when he opens his bowels and goes to the toilet, or when she goes to the toilet, then you will see a blood stain in their feces. Blood in the feces is never a good thing. Obviously, if you fed nothing red, there shouldn't be anything red in their waste. You need to get your dragon down to a vet and have them tested ASAP. Now guys, simply, easily, a fecal screen isn't expensive. You're looking at possibly 60 to 80 bucks for a consultation and around about 30 bucks for your fecal screen. Now, if the result comes back as positive that your dragon does have high parasite count and things like Coccidia, the medication to treat it is very cheap. I think I paid about 13 bucks for a little container to treat the 2 new dragons. Now guys, in this video we are going to show you how to do oral dosings for bearded dragons. Okay guys, so coming home from the reptile veterinarian, the vet should have given you a correct dosage based on the weight of your animal, and to do that, simply all you need to do is draw up your syringe with the medication, push back any excess until you reach the desired quantity, and in this case we are dealing with 0.06 mil. Okay, obviously depending on the different size animals will vary the dosage required to do this. Okay guys, so this can be done with 1 person or it can require 2 depending on how easy your dragon is to handle. Just remember, you want to make sure that your dragon is comfortable, make sure that all 4 legs are easily supported, and if we position our fingers underneath their chin, we can slowly pull down one side of his lip and expose his teeth. Now if we give it a bit more of a pull, we can open his mouth ever so slightly and inject the medication into the mouth. Now you want to make sure that the little fellow or the little girl has definitely taken all of its medication, hasn't spat it out, and that's it guys. Simply remember, follow the instructions from your veterinarian. If it's a daily medication dosing, follow it daily for the duration required. Your little beardie will thank you for your persistence. So guys, a final point to note is we don't want to use the same syringe from dragon to dragon. Make sure you do have a separate syringe when you're dosing different animals. Otherwise, the risk of transmission for other infections and other diseases is highly likely. So guys, don't cross-contaminate your animals. Don't use the same syringes. Do use fresh syringes between each dragon. Okay guys, so you may be wondering, what is the worst case scenario if I don't get my dragon checked for things like parasites? Well guys, simply put, if your dragon's not eating, if your dragon is lazy and lethargic, it's not going to have any fuel source to sustain life, and potentially you will lose your bearded dragon. Guys, simply for the best part of 120, 130 bucks, you're going to have a identification and a treatment for your dragon. Depending on the husbandry, the hygiene of your enclosure, and also the feeder insects that you do have on readily available for these little guys to eat, will depend on whether or not your little dragon will get an intestinal parasite issue such as Coccidia. So guys, a big thing about reptile quarantine and reptile hygiene is your hand hygiene. Super critical point guys. If you've got multiple animals in quarantine and you're handling one dragon, you need to sanitize your hands or change your disposable gloves before you go and start handling, feeding, cleaning another bearded dragon or another reptile. And I suppose the final note with that is, please do prioritize your clean collection. Do your clean animals first, feeding, cleaning, all that kind of care, and then do your quarantine last. Make sure you always leave your quarantine animals for last, and then go have a shower, change your clothes, wash your hands, all that kind of good stuff before you roll on with the rest of your day, and especially before you go back into your clean room to handle your other animals. Okay guys, so that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you do hit that like button. Guys, please, if you have any recommendations, any suggestions on content that you want to see here on this channel, drop them down in the comments below. Before you do go, please feel free to check out our other social media platforms, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our website. We are always releasing new educational content across all 5 platforms. Now guys, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and turn on those post notifications. That way you won't miss a coming video. And guys, like always, if you've got them, keep your beard treated and your beardies heated.